Hey, Witches of the Moon. It is just Spellbound here. Happy full moon. I hope everyone is enjoying it, whether it was today, tomorrow, or yesterday. Sorry, my brain is not set up on the days. Hope everyone is taking this time out of life during quarantine to really do some great workings and to settle in with your spiritual practice. It's been enjoyable and hard all at the same time. So, hi. This week we are talking about moon magic, which is perfect timing for this week. And, we had this super full moon, the pink moon for spring. So it's really exciting. It's always great energy to have, especially this culmination of having all of these super moons. This was the last one. So if you were not able, or in my case, the super full moon for me is tonight. That's when it's going to be at its fullest. So I am really looking forward to doing some gratitude work, because for me, that's what I like to do during a full moon. It's not necessarily about bringing in or letting go. It is being thankful, and having that full moon is for me, abundance. And even through all of these things that are happening right now in life, I feel grateful, and I am really going to enjoy doing that ritual tonight. So because we are talking about moon magic, I am going to go through the phases of wax on, wane off, dark moon, full moon info, because, I feel like from the things that I've seen online that people really enjoy working with the full moon and with the new moon. And for me, those are not my favorite times to work moon magic, because for me, the new moon is the baby moon. It's the sliver of just bringing in the hint of something new. And which is great unto itself, but I feel like that's not a lot of the work that I do. I like having the full moon for gratitude work, but really I do that all the time anyway. The full moon is a good way to replenish my full moon water. I use distilled water so that if I am making, like I made cookies for Ostara last month, and I used the full moon water in that. A gratitude recipe in my mind, soul cakes, there are different recipes that I make for every holiday, that for Sabbats and whatnot, that I make something to gift back, whether it's to the Fae or to my goddess, my God. When I am doing gratitude food work, I add in my moon water because it's distilled, and then I keep it in the fridge so it lasts quite a while. So that's what I do for the full moon. I'm looking down because I took out my lunar intention moon deck that I've had for a really long time, and for beginners, I suggest picking these up because they are awesome. So I'm just going to show these off real quick. They are super, super tiny, just a square. And then on the back, it's all going to be backwards for you guys, but it does give meanings for the new moon, the waxing first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning last quarter, and waning crescent. See, dark moon's completely ignored here. And then it has little illustrations and what type of moon it is, what it looks like, and what you can use it for. So the new moon on this card is the dark moon, and that's not how I follow the lunar cycle. So the new moon for me is would be the following night after the dark moon. The dark moon, this would be the dark moon, not the new moon. The dark moon is when it's dark, and then the new moon to me is right at that first sliver of light that's peeking through. So all of these cards have little, and in the beginning of my practice, I had to print out these images or similar images to this, so that when I would hold ritual or do any type of working, I really liked having a illustrated or a picture as a focal point for what workings I wanted to do. So on that note, let me kind of explain how I do my, not explain, but go through how I do my moon work. I don't really do a whole lot of like first quarter, last quarter, you know, waxing gibbous. My brain cannot function on the overload of information on that. Because I do recognize the moon work, and I used to much more early on in my practice. Early on in my practice, everything I did revolved around the moon phases. So I did recognize a first quarter and last quarter and waxing crescent and waning crescent. But now that my spiritual practice has taken a different turn, I still try to recognize the 4 points of the moon: the full, the wax on, the wane off, and the dark, and occasionally the new moon. But I don't, like I said, I don't do that too often. So wax on, wane off. That's the way I've always remembered it. Wax on to the full moon, wane off the full moon. So during the waxing phase of the moon is for growth, for prosperity, for abundance, for bringing things into your life, for bringing things into your magical space, into your home, into your reality, let's say. And then, right, subsequently, the waning, the wane off part is for clearing out, for getting rid of, for releasing things. And then the dark moon, I use that time, any working that I do during a dark moon, it's normally some type of shadow work, because when we work with the moon, for me, in my opinion, when I'm working with the moon, I want to be able to reflect what's happening energetically in the atmosphere. The dark moon for me is a time of introspection, and that lasts for 3 days. I do it the night before, the night of, and the night after. So into the new moon. Those 3 days, and that third day into the new moon is when I am, I don't want to say closing off, but healing. It's a moment of healing and moving forward. So that's what I do during those 3 days. So I do try to do workings in 3-day pairings, because when I take the time to devote to doing moon work or to doing astrological work, you want it to have weight. And I'm not saying for 3 days from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed. Not 3 full, no, I don't have time to do that, unfortunately. But I will try to center my daily activity around what I'm doing to the best of my ability. So if in waning moon phase, I do moon water, because I do moon water for every phase. And it does not have to be a lot. You don't need these giant pitchers of moon water, because there's another full moon, there's another new moon next month. It's constantly replenishing itself. It is constantly filling the cup, empty the cup, filling the cup, empty the cup. So really, for new moons, for everything but the full, depending on what workings I'm doing, I will fill up a jar like this. I'll put all my crystals on top. Sometimes I'll even put them in the water. If I'm not cooking with the water, I'll put it in the water. I'll have 2 separate small jars, one for cooking, one for cleaning. I'll add it to a bath. But don't undervalue the rest of the moon phases, because the hype is around the full moon and the new moon. There's so many things to sink your teeth into during the rest of those phases, and everything has a purpose. So while you're like I said, if you're doing during the waning cycle is a time for clearing house. So you know what? Fill up some moon water and put it in your bucket with some salt and some tourmaline, onyx, tiger's eye for protection. Load that water up and then cleanse your house with it. We're all home now, right? Like indefinitely. I don't even know if schools are reopening by me. So it's like we have the time right now to really sink our teeth into our spiritual aspects. At least for me, I do. And, you know, it is what it is. For those of you who are in the healthcare field and still trudging out to work every day, I commend you. Thank you so much for being there. I am an associate teacher, so I teach my kids online, so that I just get to work from home. Roundabout here. But so I would really suggest you, like everything else, I think it's more about doing, and as far as like moon work, keep a log, keep a track, get a plain notebook, make yourself a notebook out of the index cards. See, I mean, I'm even using the one I showed off the other week. Use something and keep track of how each moon cycle, how you feel during that cycle. You know, did this full moon, did it make you feel energetic? Did it make you feel emotional? Did it make you feel really tired? Because it can. Graph how it makes you feel. And then you'll know what type of work to do during that phase. I'm sorry. Then you'll know what type of work to do during that phase that suits you. You know, I think the same goes for herbs. I think the same goes for essential oils. Sure, find out their base meaning, but really listen to your instincts when it comes to this kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, your spiritual practice isn't about isn't going to affect, it's really windy here today. Sorry, that was something falling on my deck. At the end of the day, your practice isn't about what you can post on Facebook. Your spiritual practice is not about what, you know, mine isn't about what I'm putting on YouTube. I'm sharing with you, but this is how I do it. This is what soothes my soul. So really pay attention, because it does affect you, and it might affect you differently than it affects me. You know, during the full moon, I was tired this time around. There was so much output in the couple of weeks beforehand that slope up to the full moon really exhausted me. So it's about replenishment and gratitude and a reminder to be thankful that I am still working. There are certain things in my life that right now, amidst all this chaos, is really still working beautifully. So really take your own feelings into account and then go from there and build upon what you've already noticed. So that's my opinion on things. And you guys, don't undervalue the dark moon. Don't undervalue that time of introspection. We all need that. Shadow work is hard. It's not easy. But it doesn't take, at least starting out, it doesn't take days and days and weeks and weeks and months of research. Start small. Don't dive in head first. Take baby steps. Learn as you go, and that's okay. It's okay to build the foundation and not just build a house. All right, you guys, I have to get back to work. This is my lunch break. I always do the Wiggles thing. I'm sorry, kids. And if you don't know the Wiggles, you are lucky. Okay, you guys, have a blessed week. Enjoy the full moon. Enjoy all the bounty that's coming. And if you need bounty, get out there and pray for it. Get out there and make it work, because that's what we do, right? We just adapt. So blessed be you guys, and I will see you next week.